So, everyone, before we jump into it, if you two gentlemen would like to introduce yourself, who you are, and where we are right now.
My name is Zach Gallo, Executive Director of Food and Beverage for Yavapai Casino Resort.
My name is Richard Pelz. I'm the Executive Sous Chef at Yavapai Casino Resort and also the chef at Ember.
One of my favorite restaurants.
And so, we're going to dig into it a lot here because there's a lot to cover. But if one of you would like to, kind of just give us the rundown of what this giant complex of fun and exciting stuff is.
Well, when we concepted Yavapai about a little over 3 years ago, the tribe that we were for, the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation, really wanted us to go to the next level from a culinary and entertainment perspective. So our vision was to bring something that we've never done before. Ember is one. That's our fine dining. Super high-end, luxurious, trimmings, fixtures, all the china, glass, and silverware is done with purpose. Then our WKP Sports and Entertainment venue, me being from Michigan, found that at night, sports are usually done by 9 o'clock. So what do you do after? So it's kind of sports by day, entertainment by night. So we have live bands, tribute shows, a bunch of fun stuff after sports are done in the Arizona area. And then we have things for every budget. So we have our market, which is a 24-hour, more approachable comfort food with a great price point. Anala is our 3-meal that services our 4-diamond resort in-room dining. So like you said, like I said, something for everybody. Really just that, budgetary change for each venue and stylistically totally different. So the experience you have here is not like anything else in the venue.
And I've always been struck by the quality of the food. Everything, even the market, you have daily specials and things are made from scratch.
Yeah, one of our biggest things, we have an open rotisserie, so you can see our rotisserie going pretty much all day. And then every day we have specials that the chefs make and our grab and go food ready to go. So you don't have to order, but it's all made from scratch. We take great pride in our quality here.
And so, as you stated before, we are here in Ember right now. Chef, how would you classify kind of the food and your style of cooking in here?
I would pretty much say it's sensible, right? It's a little bit of something for everyone. We're not limited, even though we're primarily meats, but we also have seafoods. Everything that we do is organic, or at least we try to anyways. We have a mixed crowd here. So we just try to provide the best that we can possibly purchase or buy. We're quality driven.
Sure. And so I have not eaten here before. I guess I have in a sense because I was here, probably 6 months ago, taking photographs of your food for a prior issue of A Taste of AZ magazine. We had a feature on the top steakhouses written by Allison Balin, and this place was included. And I've never seen someone so particular about making sure every little detail was just beautiful on the plates. And so how would you define your style of cooking in particular?
I think that separates us from other steakhouses, right? It's just our attention to detail and the kind of, I call it the artistic sensibility.
Okay.
The eyes eat before the stomach. And given my background working in a lot of 3 Michelin restaurants, I keep that sensibility on the plates. Right, integrity to the food, keep it clean. There's a sense and there's a reason on the plate. It's not just plating food. It's actually there's a purpose.
Sure, absolutely.
And I agree too. That's what makes you such a standout here. I know you are familiar with how impressed I am every time we visit. And your background is French trained.
Classically French.
And I know you spent time in Europe also. Yeah,
I worked for Alain Ducasse, Louie XV, and I worked in Spain. Berasategui, another 3 Michelin. But even if you work in England or Spain or France, everything is the backdrop is French, right? It's everything is the method of French. So even though you're using different ingredients, it's always the background will be French.
Sure. So take us back even before that. Where did you grow up? Are you a native of Arizona?
I am not. Actually,
Okay.
I grew up in California.
Okay.
Monterey Bay. And I went to school back east, CIA in Hyde Park, New York, and fell in love with New York. I always consider New York my home. I spent 20 plus years off and on between living in New York and traveling to Europe. But it's just it's a great city.
And you've worked at some prestigious places in New York also, right?
I did, and I had a restaurant of my own at one point.
Do you miss it?
Do I miss New York?
Your restaurant?
I do. It was my first one. It was very small, but we were nominated Best New Restaurant for that year. I mean, in the category with Joel Robuchon, Gordon Ramsay.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Andrew Carminelli, he was at a Voce at the time, and it was an honor to be in that category. We were, a 32-seat restaurant.
Wow,
that's
impressive.
We were just grinding, and then next thing you know, he said, "Hey, you've been nominated." I mean, we didn't win, but it was an honor to be in that category with those great
with your
chefs.
peers.
Yeah, my peers.
Well,
Yeah.
so that's obviously a very impressive resume. Did you come from a family that it was very focused on food, or is that something you kind of developed as your own path?
My parents. I have a lot to thank for my mother. She was a Francophile. I mean, she was French everything. I mean,
okay.
My stepfather, he made wine, so we made Cabernet and Zinfandel, and my parents supported a lot of restaurants. They were big into food. They helped a lot of restaurants grow. But being around that, I just never really thought about it. I was always exposed to it, and I had a great appreciation to food, especially my mother, her cooking. I mean, I can remember the first dish she made was beef bourguignon. And she was never afraid to experiment. And I think that's where I came to that culinary side. She's the one that encouraged me to go to culinary, to CIA. I mean, I went to college, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went to college and didn't know what to do, so I dropped out, and then I said, well, I'm ready to go back to school, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And she says, you might want to think about the culinary field.
Had it occurred to you before then?
No, not at all. And so I walked into a restaurant, suit and tie, and I said, I think I might want to try this, give this a shot. And so I talked to the chef, and I started out in prep. And being naive, I just being in the front of the house, I assumed they were passing around Grey Poupon and listening to classical music in the kitchen. Far from it.
Right. Sure. Well, and that's a pretty ironic way to get into the industry. I guess ironic might not be the best word for it. But you hear about plenty of people that kind of happen into the industry, but not plenty of people that happen into the industry and then are doing the kind of things that you've done. So are you just a driven kind of guy, or once you got into it, did a passion just light up?
Well, I mean, obviously it's not like the controlled chaos of it, but I guess being exposed to fine dining at a younger age, I have a great appreciation. And then when I went to CIA, and I graduated, I decided, I want to work for the best chefs. You don't get paid. You work for free. You grind it out, 18-hour days. But
and you love it.
And I do.
That's the key.
That's it.
But you learn what it takes to run at that level,
Sure.
right? And each chef has their own different ways or their different philosophies. They're all great cooks, but they all have different philosophies and their different approaches to food. But not only that, but great leadership too.
Who was your biggest mentor?
Gosh, there's been so many. I would say I've taken a little bit from everyone. I can't really specifically say one person, but I will probably say Tom Greco. He's the one that told me I should go to the CIA when I went into the restaurant, my first restaurant, when I said I wore a suit and tie. I almost went to the Cordon Bleu in London, and I had all my paperwork finished, and he said, you might want to consider the CIA. And so I did. I flew out to CIA, and I had everything I wanted because I went for hospitality management because I wanted the business aspect and the CIA provided that because of the 4-year program.
And for anyone listening who may be confused, you're not talking about the Central Intelligence Agency. You're talking about
Culinary Institute of America. Sorry.
No worries. And so, what is that kind of journey like? Is that when you're there, are your eyes opening every single day to the possibilities of what your new future might look like?
Honestly, there's so many avenues you can go in this profession. Whether you go resorts, hotels, freestanding restaurants, photography. I mean, if you want to be a food journalist. It just gives you so many different avenues. For me, I went fine dining. That's where my passion is. Just being meticulous about certain things, and there's always a reason why you do certain things and why it goes onto a plate. The discipline and everything else that goes with.
And I figure while you didn't grow up expecting to be in the restaurant industry, the way you were raised kind of pushed you into that fine dining realm. Would you say that?
I would say so. My parents are business owners, so I saw how and I see how they treated their employees. A lot of respect.
So Zach, when you opened and you were looking for a chef for this beautiful space, what was it about Richard that you said, I want him?
Good question.
They were desperate.
Great. Don't tell them all our secrets, chef. No, we were looking for the unicorn, if you will. We had a vision that our kitchen and our culinary team could be led with grace and with purpose, without the horror stories you hear about kitchens being volatile and unprofessional. So, if you were to recall my interview with Chef Richard, it was really about who he is as a person. How is he going to care for our team, which we consider our work family? Do you have the patience, the resilience to uplift versus just scold and discipline? And he was the perfect fit. And I'll share this about Chef. Chef comes from a military background, which scared me at first, but then I loved it because he talks a lot about purpose, and you see it in everything he does. And I would probably better equate it to standard. So we believe there's a standard that we have to uphold to our guests and our team members, not only from the way we treat them, but the product that we provide each day. And I think that has been a big part of our immediate success, is just that commitment to standards and excellence in what we do. And one of our standards is just how we treat each other is important. We don't raise our voice. We don't use profanity. And I think you can get to the same finish line with a different direction, basically the same result with a different approach. And our team has really bought into that and feel very safe, like this is a safe haven for them where they can feel appreciated. So I think that the upbringing that Chef just discussed, with his parents and being business owners, you really have to be mindful of that. So we're very, very lucky and fortunate to have not only Chef Richard, but also our executive chef, Graham Quayle, as a big part of that plan.
And then you're creating a younger generation of chefs who are working in that environment, and we'll carry that forward, I think, too.
Absolutely. The biggest thing about our company is about the growth pattern. Chef is now our number 2 chef for the entire company. And we've seen
Congratulations.
We've seen a lot of success stories, and this is an earned, it's not a given. It's really an earned. And Chef Matthew Brake, who's now our chef de cuisine at the WKP Sports and Entertainment, he's another one of our success stories, and there's many. But if you really give it everything you have in our kitchens, there's a pathway to grow your career, which is great.
Sure. So I'd like to dig into your upbringing a little bit. Are you a native of Arizona?
I'm from Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah. So my family was in the wine industry. My last name is Gallo, but not the Gallo you're thinking of. So they did a lot of export and a lot of a wine distribution when I was young. So I was in the top restaurants and the London Chap House and all these fun places in Detroit when I was like 6 years old.
Wow.
Was very fortunate. A friend of mine turned me on to the Ritz-Carlton company when I was 18 years old, and joined that company for years while I was going to school at Wayne State University for hospitality and business. And I'll tell you, I just never looked back. It just in my DNA, I guess I'd say. And so had a great career with another casino resort property back in Detroit for 16 years before I came out to Arizona.
Wow.
But definitely has always been in my blood. I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I've tried. It just wasn't for me.
And so what brought you to Arizona?
It changed a life. I have family out here. I have some dear friends out here. And this was something I always loved, this area. And the culinary scene is great. And when I met, it's different when you work for a corporation, when you work for a tribal nation. It's really unique. It's very heartfelt. So what we do makes an impact on a whole community. So, in different corporations, you can make, millions of dollars of EBITDA and make more revenue. And you don't really see the impact here. you look right down on our reservation for the schools and the clinic and the gym. And what we do as leaders, we're stewards of their business, and we hope we can make them proud and sustain the nation and give them what they need to keep the community flourishing. And so that's something I take very seriously. A lot different than us. It's just part of who I am as a person, so I think it was a great fit for both of us.
Sure. So obviously lots of food stuff to talk about, but I'd like to discuss the nation a little bit more. Tell me about that connection.
So the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation was the first casino in Arizona.
Okay.
They're a smaller tribe, about 900 tribal members. And as they've grown, their success has afforded them the opportunity to grow their enterprises, which is what they call their businesses. So it started off with a little bingo hall way back in the day, and then they grew the casino. Then they opened the top-rated Weekapaug golf course. So we have 36 holes of championship golf, the top in the state. Absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't been out there, check it out. It's just delightful. And then they've added on. So then we had Fort McDowell Casino. Then in 2005, they opened Weekapaug Resort and Conference Center, and kind of branded it after the golf course, and it's just continued to evolve. 3 years ago, we sat in a big room with 40 people and talked about this project and said, we want to do it. And I was super excited about it. The tribe has been very generous with giving us the resources to build something like Ember and this new luxury property. And we're very, very fortunate to say we just got voted best casino resort in Arizona this year.
Wow. Congratulations.
Our first time out.
Deserved.
And our sommelier here at Dennis Payne from Ember just got us the Best of Award of Excellence in Wine Spectators. So,
wow.
And we do it for much more than that, but it really is nice to get recognized. We're very humbled by that.
Well, and, that really speaks to obviously what you guys are doing here, but to see that it isn't the sole thing you're going after and just a component that kind of verifies everything that you guys are putting together,
right, really
kind of must be a central part of the culture you have of shooting for excellence and hitting the mark basically every single time, it seems like.
I think you hit it right. We gotta drive ourselves to be better than the next guy, do things differently. We feel like we're kind of the trendsetters in some ways. We opened a casino in the middle of a pandemic. That had its own challenges.
Yeah.
Not from the new pandemic, which is staffing, but also with taking a big impact on the team members we do have that did show up to work. Despite their fears and everything they went through, they came and they gave us everything they had, and we can't forget that, So it's been a really interesting couple years, but the result we're very, very proud of, and the awards and everything are great. But I want to see people be able to have an income and provide for their families. I mean, that's what we do. So
sure. So let's circle back to the food side of things now.
Sure.
So where we are right now inside of Ember. Describe kind of this setting a little bit and some of the items that you guys serve here, some of the more popular things that people gravitate towards.
I'm going to talk a little bit about design. I'll let Chef talk about his culinary creations, but the idea is fire. So Ember is obviously an ember or flame. We also call it uji, which in Yavapai language means flame. So we really wanted that fire element in what we do. So we have the Sacred Smoke cocktail, which is like a smoked old fashioned. We have 6 fireplaces in the property, including our patio dining, which is just unbelievable at night. So everything kind of plays on that. And then Chef had that challenge on top of everything else in the world to come up with something that was conducive of fire and obviously kept a really diverse menu palette for our guests.
I also really love you have live piano music at night, and
Yes.
would you call that your lounge?
Yeah, we have a lounge that we have 5 nights of live entertainment, a little bit more robust on the weekends where we'll have like a duo or trio. And the idea is to have very classic music. We have a baby grand piano, but we do like top 40 hits. So you might hear like Dua Lipa on the piano, but it's funny. Done in a classical way. And that's the idea, to keep it very cool and contemporary with that classic feel, just like our food. We have some really things that Chef has brought back from, the earlier days, but are very contemporary in how we present them.
There's not many things in this world that make me feel more cool, I guess you could say, than just sitting back and sipping a cocktail with some live piano in the background.
I agree.
That's
There's something about that
experience.
ambiance. And then you can see how beautiful it is. It's all done in royal blue and purple, so it feels different. And then, to have chef's food. And as he said, there's a lot of, a food that appeals to everybody. So there's classics like your split lobster and steaks.
Oscar.
Right. But I really, really love your specials. And I've been spoiled because I've had a couple tasting menus here. And I remember one highlight, just to give an example of chef's prowess, was your beet tartare. Could you describe that? Because it was so artistic.
Yeah, well, basically, it's a play on steak tartare. So it's just, what makes the dish really is the yolk. It's a golden beet yolk, right? So we emulsify it to make it look like an actual chicken egg yolk.
Okay.
And it oozes just like a yolk.
Yeah.
So you
Really?
get the
Wow.
dish, and if you didn't know it was beet tartare, you would think it was steak tartare.
Yeah, I think some people were thrown off that they thought it was an actual chicken egg.
They thought
on
it was
there.
a typo on the menu.
It was a chicken.
Until they try it, then they can't get enough. It's
Yeah.
really good.
It took me a while, but finally I nailed it. I was like, got it.
So
Is
that
that a
one
dish
dish
that-
had so much finesse,
Uh-huh.
between its appearance and, as you talked, his attention to detail, and then the taste. Something. I think all your food is like that. You savor every bite. It's not food that you rush through. You want to
No.
enjoy it and relax over
Well,
it.
as I think of food, the protein's the rock star of it. Everything around or everything else is the symphony. Like a symphony, that's the showpiece, right? So that's what you want to taste. If you're going to eat a steak, you want to taste the meat. Right? You don't want to smother it in sauce and garnish. That's how my approach, especially with fish. Fish is delicate, but you can pair fish with pretty much anything. But primarily, you want to have the taste of fish. I don't really mask food here. I just kind of keep it true to its origin.
Well, and so with a dish like the beet tartare, is that something that you're kind of drawing? I'm sure you're drawing inspiration in some fashion, but is that something that you kind of built up from scratch and really experimented with?
As everything we do here, yeah, everything starts with an idea. As Christine knows, these specials, they were epiphanies, like the veal cheek. I remember you had, or
Yes,
the
with
Rita
fava
Vo.
beans, I think, and
Yeah, exactly. So it all starts with that, right? Just having an idea and not being afraid to experiment. If you fail, you fail.
The mistake I keep making is coming to these podcasts not having eaten a full meal beforehand,
I
because
know.
everything that you're saying right now, I'm like,
I had a
oh, man.
biscotti. Now I'm really hungry.
We can take care of you after.
Awesome.
One thing to note though, which is really cool, is like our hen of the woods mushroom is our vegan dish, and there's so many people have emailed me or talked to me about that dish because it's just a highlight, and the way it's seasoned and presented. He always says the protein's the show. So how do you do that with no actual protein when you do it plant-based? And you wouldn't know. It's got such a texture, and the execution of it's so special that you would go, oh my gosh, I could order this every day. So it's really, like you said, the idea, taking it and perfecting it to highlight and be a memorable dish, not just kind of, that checked the box, we have a vegetarian dish. No, we want the very best for our guests.
Yeah.
I think memorable is a great word. I know
Yes.
the last time I was here, I had a Riz de Veau dish, and we've eaten very well in our travels. We've been to Guy Savoy and Alain Ducasse in France, and Michelin restaurants in England. But I told Chef that was the best preparation of Riz de Veau, which is veal sweetbread, that I had ever had. Could you give an idea to the listeners of the kind of, I forget what you had with it, but just, what goes in your mind when you're taking a delicacy like that and creating a dish?
I call it mood cooking.
Oh, mood
Right.
cooking.
Right, whatever you're in the mood. That's how when I create specials, it's like, I don't like to be pigeonholed. So if I'm in the mood for Asian, I'll start experimenting with Asian dishes.
Oh, I saw a crab rangoon on your
Yeah,
Instagram
I did
that
king
looked
crab
really
rangoon.
good.
Yeah, exactly, with curry. So, whatever I'm in the mood for, that's kind of what I start creating with. It's like, I'm in the mood for this. It sounds good. All right, let's go for it. But
Yeah, you should follow his Instagram.
Yeah, that's
But
that's a must-do.
the Riz de Veau, I love Riz de Veau. I mean, obviously French is my strong point, but that dish was created with the seasonality, what we had it in the season. And so at first it starts with the protein, right? As Riz de Veau, haven't had in a long time. It'd be great. What am I going to do with that? Well, what's in season? And it's just from there, it just becomes a balance. And that's how that dish was created for you.
Yeah, it was sublime, and I don't use that word all the time.
And so when you're talking about the seasonality of dishes, are you just very familiar with what is in season, or are you working directly with farmers to source these ingredients?
I know what's in season. We do Blue Sky Farms.
Okay.
We deal with their spinach and other produce. We'd like to tap more into farmers around here. That's the goal. That was always been the goal. I guess pandemic. I hate to use pandemic for
It's very
an excuse,
tough.
Yeah,
but
Sourcing's very tough.
yeah, but we do the best. We source it out.
Yeah.
We get the best quality as possible.
Well, and when you're working with farmers, I would imagine it's tough to find the right scale of a farmer because, it's one thing, like I was at Riba Farms the other day, if you're familiar with them, and he was saying that they grow over 100 different products, and that's throughout the year. It seasonally changes. It's one thing for me to go and pick up a farm box and look in there and be like, this is more food than I'm going to be able to cook in the next 2 weeks. How can I utilize it? But to do it on a scale of a restaurant like this, where you're churning out hundreds of customers and you need to maintain that supply, how is that on your side of things, ensuring that once you do source local ingredients or wherever you do source your ingredients, that it's going to be able to sustain on the menu with that seasonality?
Well, yeah. Like for instance, Blue Sky again, they're in the summer, their crops stop. So obviously we have to source it out from our purveyor that's equally as good. I mean, that's how we approach things. You can't have things year round. We'd like to, but we can't.
And make that feel like a seamless experience for the customer who might not understand those kinds of things.
Right. Like when I worked in Napa, we had 8 different farmers. But we had that luxury in Napa to have, dry potatoes from one farmer.
Right.
Forney, for all of our greens. So, persimmons from one farm. And we had that luxury. Here, it's a little bit different. We rely heavily on our purveyors. Everything comes out of the LA market, which is a fantastic market. But it's up to us to utilize that, right? They always say, it's 10% of the chef and 90% of the product. So that's why we source out the best.
Well, and that's a very humble approach to take, especially when you're doing things on the level you're doing. When you create just a magnificent dish, are you having to remind yourself, like, stay humble, or are you putting it out and you're just putting it out there for the customer to enjoy and getting their feedback?
Well, obviously, to be selfish, yeah, it's for me.
Yeah.
But, it all starts with me and then my team. And from there, if we're happy with it, then, the guests will be happy.
Sure.
And then it's gratifying when the guest gets
Right.
your vision and appreciates the work that you put into it.
And everyone says the artist, right? You go to a museum and, you admire the artwork. Not everyone's going to get it. But if you capture a few, that's all that matters,
And so you have classics, like your fillets and whatnot, but with these more exotic dishes, if you can call them that, are people latching onto them and experiencing them the way you'd hope?
Yes. Some of them a little more adventurous than I had first thought. So people have been very open. Some of them are just like I said, I'll wake up and say, wow, this sounds good. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you have regulars that come in and you've introduced them to new foods they've never eaten before, or you've educated them on dishes?
Absolutely. I mean, again, keeping that artistic sensibility towards food. That's always how, I'm not speaking for myself. I've always had that artistic approach to, why does it go on the plate? What purpose does it serve on a plate? Yes, it is a steak, but how are you going to put it on a plate?
Well, in that holistic approach, going from just being a chef to a real hospitality-driven person and building relationships with the people that are coming in and finding out how you might be able to experiment with them, that, to me, is how a lot of places kind of go to the next level of being a restaurant. And, this place is obviously so much more than that. How is that something that you built in over the years, just being able to converse with people and kind of take them along a food journey?
Well, as long as they're open and they're willing to experiment, as chefs and restaurant owners, you get a following like a rock band. They're gonna like the music or they're not. If you can hit those chords on the right notes, and that's what we try to do every night, is hit the right notes. Introducing people, and making them feel reassured of what they're getting.
This is one
Or
of the
just don't tell them.
restaurants that I love because I'm always guaranteed if I send somebody in here, they message me right back that they love it. Joe Johnston was here. I don't know if you know him. He runs Agritopia, and he's a wonderful man, he and his wife. And he came in with a group, and he was just so impressed. So thank you, Chef, for making me look good.
Yeah, actually, I'll say one dish I never thought that really got traction when I did veal tongue.
Oh, really?
I missed that one. How did you cook it?
I sous vide it. So we did that for about 12 hours. God, it came out really well. I said, I don't know how this is going to sell, but let's go for it. And we had a really good reception on that.
Great. I was going to ask you, were there any surprise hits that you've tried?
I just recently, I did some cold smoked sturgeon with a horseradish beet, puree, and what did I do? Smoked trout caviar on there.
Wow.
I haven't put it on the run it as a special yet, but it's
well,
it's
let
on the
me
back,
know when
it's
you
on
do.
the back burner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
See, dishes like that are why, like, I go home from a podcast like this planning to make salmon for dinner. I'm like, why even eat at home anymore when you can go out and have dishes like that? Probably break the bank. But, I mean, with something as creative as that, I doubt you're approaching it with the perspective of, you know, this is how will this sell in more of a creative, artistic perspective. Would you agree with that?
I would. I would. You know, it just it's how we perceive food, and you know, I have a different philosophy. Maybe I'll have a different philosophy than someone else. You know, a different approach towards food. But you know, this is me on a plate, and every chef has their own personality on a plate, right? And what I do is basically my personality. Yes, we have our steaks, and yes, we have our staples, but you know, when we do our specials, that's kind of where, you know, more comes out of a personality.
And so from an operations side, does that make you a little bit nervous when he's putting together some of these crazy dishes, or are you just very confident in him?
The way I'd answer that is, you know, I want to empower them to be who they are, you know, show their creativity. That's where the success lies. Really, it's, you know, I mean, a P&L is important, but I feel if you do a great product and you live by, you know, moving the needle and lead the culinary team with passion, people will follow.
Yeah.
We've also found as the success rate is we're at like 100 with Chef's Creations. Like we've sold out our last 2 wine dinners.
Wow.
We're almost sold out for our next 2. And through our partners in Napa and different wineries around the country, we've actually brought in some winemakers and some vintners that are coming in to partner with Chef, and we're writing these amazing menus, and it's crazy stuff, like things we don't typically do, and they go nuts for it. And that also kind of gives us that confidence, like, wow, if we really do something new, people will latch onto it, and they're kind of like, when's the next one?
And they trust you now.
They trust
so they
us. Yeah,
trust,
they trust
I
Chef,
think they
yeah.
trust you to try maybe veal tongue or try something different.
Yeah, that's a journey that I've gone down. The more and more we dig into food. Christina, you've obviously been doing this for a while, and you've almost been my Sherpa through trying new places like this. We did a dinner at Hermosa Inn, and that was the first
Steady
time.
and reliable.
Well, I mean,
Here, Luke, eat this.
that's
try
basically
this.
what it has become. Is I never anticipated to be eating sweetbread, and we were served it at Hermosa Inn, and I eat it. I'm like, this is absolutely incredible. Next time I see this, I'm gonna eat it. But it's not like if I went into some hole in the wall place and I try it and have a horrible first experience, that has the potential to ruin that.
Good point.
Whereas,
Forever.
Yeah, forever.
exactly. When Christina has an experience like she's had here, and she's sending more people in, and then they have that experience, that's really how you build kind of a grassroots following, which is exactly what you're talking about doing.
Yeah, we realize that, you know, we're kind of a little bit farther out. We're so young, you know, we're just under a year here at Ember, and you know, and at the casino resort. We really want to continue to strive for greatness, and you know, it's not done overnight. It takes time to build these reputations, and I think we're on the right path, you know, and someone like Christina has just been a blessing to us, you know, supporting us and been such a positive thing. And like the chefs get so excited when she comes, and Ernesto
I
comes.
feel it the other way, because I feel it's people like you that are shaping the culinary scene, and we're just lucky to enjoy it, you know, because of your gifts. So thank you.
No, thank you.
And the way we feel about it, you know, from a philosophical is we're not this big franchise. We're not, we've created this from our own imaginations, and that's what gives us a lot of pride. It's really about the love for the industry, and what we're trying to do here is just, we want to be different. And even from the hospitality and the front of house team and how they lead, it's just arms wide open hospitality. You'll never feel a pretentious vibe here, even though we have probably one of the top chefs in the world here, and that you're not going to feel that. You're going to feel completely welcome, like you're important to us because you are. And we realize that there's competition. There's all these other restaurants, but we want to be different in that respect, where when someone comes into Ember, you feel it from the moment you hit the door that you're welcome, and just, we're very fortunate to have them try us. It's our job to do what you said and get that trust. Oh my gosh, what do you got next?
Yeah.
So it's a process, but in a year, we've made so many friends, and it's just been a humbling first year for us.
Well, and it's so much more than just walking in here and having that experience, because you walk out those doors and you've got all sorts of entertainment. You've got the golf course. It really is a complete destination, where I live 20 minutes away from here, but I could see myself booking a room and probably destroying your golf course, trying to have some fun out there, and then come have a steak for dinner.
That's
or
what we all do anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
None of us are going to be on the tour.
Yeah.
We actually come up here just to hear a band next door. Can you talk about that? You have some really high quality bands. I know you have a Vegas connection in booking them.
Yeah, so our GM there, Matt Dunbar, he worked in Las Vegas and booked a lot of the acts there. So just last weekend we had the Legends of Vegas, where we had Buddy Holly, Elvis. They're all resident acts in Las Vegas. We just were very fortunate through that relationship to get them all to come out here. Johnny Cash tribute. So Daniel Durston, who does a Young Elvis show, is just the best in the business. And then we have other ones coming up, like we're gonna do a Rat Pack Christmas. We're gonna do. We have what do we have? Deja Crew, Motley Crue. So we.
Oh, really?
And here's the vision of it. Like, people are like, you're all over the map. Exactly. I want someone different in those seats every week, to really experience our property and really see what we're doing out here. So you have to change it up. You can't do the same thing and expect a different result. So all of our entertainment is very, very thoughtful. We don't try to do the same style of band every month. We really mix it up. And we've sold out almost every show.
And they're so good. We've heard, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons and the Eagles. And on top of it, it's in the restaurant. So it's almost a supper club.
Correct.
So you get to reserve a table and eat and drink while you're watching this wonderful show. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, you said it best. We didn't set out at first to be that style. We did as far as the entertainment, but as far as the seating, the pandemic has really opened our eyes to comfort levels of our guests and being non-theater. So what we did was we started selling on Ticketmaster, TicketWeb, tables. So you can actually have like a supper club experience where you can dine, enjoy the great food there, and watch an amazing show. And our price point is really attractive. So you don't have to break the bank to have a great night out.
And this is in WKP?
WKP. So our brand for the tribe is Weekapa. So we shorten that to WKP, Sports and Entertainment. So sports by day, entertainment by night, kind of like a Superman.
And it's not your typical sports bar menu either.
We wanted to do elevated pub fare, and that was the vision, and we've really created that. Very picturesque food, great quality. We make a bunch of different things in-house. It's dynamite. It's really good.
And so what is the dining experience like over there? Because here it's very much the steakhouse feel, right? The beautiful table settings, and it's very elegant. What is it like over there exactly?
The other brother. It's the complete opposite.
Really?
So we want our staff to have crazy hair. Our T-shirts say things like "Sip Happens" or "Beer Me." Bartenders have more fun. Like, it's about letting your hair down and feeling comfortable and just being that place where you don't have to get dressed up. That's what Ember's for.
Yeah.
It's about listening to some good music and just celebrating life again. I think people really need that right now. And so it's just a place to get out and just let your hair down and have fun, and people love it there. We have something called the Aloha Punch.
Right.
When you order it, it has like crazy gummy wildlife in the punch, and you get laid. From
and it
these Hawaiian lays.
4 or 2?
It serves 4, and we ring the cowbell, and we march it through the dining room, so you can kind of get a feel. It's about party time. Have fun, enjoy it. Sports, we do great sports events, Super Bowl parties, things like that. And with sports betting coming soon, we're going to have a new sports book there too.
Well, and in a corporate establishment like you may expect this place to be, the multi-dimensional nature of what you guys are doing is almost like their worst nightmare because it's so many variables to contain. Whereas you guys, it seems like you're letting the staff fuel the passion that kind of allows those different personalities to develop. How is that trying to manage such, different operations in one roof and maintain the kind of experience level that you want?
A lot of times people hire for what's on the resume. We look for kind of like what's inside the person. So do they have that energy, that passion for what they do? Or are they just looking for a job? We're very selective. Sometimes we'll pass over good candidates to find the right candidate.
Sure.
And that's the secret to our success. And we've also been very, very fortunate to have really great long-term team members that have been kind of the foundation for us.
Okay.
And they've really stepped up to the challenge. They're super excited about what the changes we've made, and it's about evolution, always being better than the day before. And I truly believe we're just getting started here at Weekapaw. The next several years are just going to be better and better.
And I think you have something new on the horizon with the studio.
Right. We are opening the first ever dining studio here in Arizona. So we had designed this really full-fledged Vegas-style buffet, but unfortunately with the pandemic, staffing constraints, we really want to see some activity. And so the chefs and myself got together and came up with this concept. Imagine a culinary artist, someone that designs food that's based on different parts of the world. So we have Dragon Wok and Noodle, where you're going to get authentic pho, chow mein, mushu station, all kinds of just wonderful goodies that are made by our buffet team.
Any crab rangoon, chef?
There might be.
There might be.
Might be now. And then on the other side, that's Dragon Wok and Noodle, and the other side is Las Tapas. So if you've ever gone to a buffet and you've seen, I'm paying all this money, and I don't even eat that stuff over there.
Yeah.
Why do I have to pay for it? Well, that's the idea. So you can kind of do an a la carte, all you can eat, but we're doing authentic homemade stuff. So really unique. We're calling it the dining studio, playing on our artist palette or a chef's, artistry on the plate. And then hopefully in the winter, we'll open Amore Italia, where we'll have authentic Neapolitan style Italian food.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, the food's
and that's
great.
how I like to eat, graze a little
Yes,
bit and try
yes.
a little of this and a little of that.
And at the dining studio, Christina, you can do one station, you can do both. Like we're going to do a harvest station for Thanksgiving. So we're really getting playful with it, and the team's just such great energy in there. They're just super fired up.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I mean, it sounds like a novel way to approach it. I mean, there's plenty of places out there putting those kinds of opportunities in front of their chefs, but nothing quite at this scale and making that such a central component, calling it the studio.
Yeah, I think the creativity and it's just a testament to the culinary team. They're super excited. I don't know how to explain it. We just did some play dates with our team and just see how we did. Get some of the
Play
mistakes we
dates.
made.
That just sounds so
Yeah,
fun,
yeah.
doesn't
Play dates
it?
and come dine. Let us buy you lunch and see what you think. And just overwhelming response from our team members. And they're our biggest critics and they're our biggest fans too, because they have to be proud of where they work.
Yeah.
So very excited. Chefs and the team just have outdone themselves. I think it's going to be very popular.
And
And
so
I'm sorry, Luke. Speaking of evolution, too, are the wine dinners new? Because did you always have those here?
We have done 2.
Okay.
We have done 2, and we have our next one is at the end of October with O'Shaughnessy Winery out of Napa, which I think there's tickets available still, a few. But this is honestly it's a play on the chef's talents. Really, it's obviously about the wine, and we bring out the winemaker. Will be out here to support the event. But really, that's the time where these guys get to really show what they can do, and it is unbelievable.
And how many courses do you usually
I'm doing
do?
a 5-course, so as we speak, I have all the notes on my desk now. So I'm, pushing the envelope. Will I go squab? I don't know yet.
Ah, nice.
He doesn't let
husband
too much
loves
out.
squab.
So we're all on pins and needles what he's going to
Okay.
do.
So it's a surprise
And
for you, too.
It's a surprise, and on top of that, he plays it down. He adds an amuse to it and a mignardise. So then 5 full courses. I mean, it's an exceptional evening. It really is.
Because each wines are different. These O'Shaughnessy are big hitters. right? So you want to pair it. It's going to go well. I mean, I think we have one Chardonnay, but the rest are all cabs. And dessert's going to be a cab port. So you got to think these are all big hitters. So you want to
and what's
something
the
that's
date of this again?
October. I think it's the 27th.
Oh, darn it.
October 27th.
We could have the business meeting here, Luke.
Yeah, I think we might have to. I mean, that just sounds like such a good time for everyone involved, from the back of the house putting it all together to the people enjoying it. What's the reception? I know you said they've been sold out, but are people's faces just lighting up when they're trying this food?
Overwhelming. So when we did the first one, we had to cap it because we didn't know, we hadn't done one, and there's a lot of logistical doing. I mean, this is all a la minute. Chef is truly putting it from pan to plate. So we want to make sure the integrity of the product didn't suffer. The next one we doubled because of the response, and then we did an exceptional job. Now, the night that we did the second one, we had like 40 tickets sold that night. They're like, when's the next one? They were just handing us their American Express. I'm like, I don't have a credit card machine. We'll put you on the list. So
you're going to have to do a wine dinner membership, and people just pay ahead for the year.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I can say is we could probably seat double of what is requested, but we don't.
How many do you seat?
70. We keep it at that because that's where he can execute at a high level, and services is paramount to us. So we probably won't go more than that, only because we really want it to be a special night. We don't open the restaurant a la carte that night. It's truly just a private event.
So it takes place inside of
Yes,
Ember.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And is it communal tables or people make a reservation?
We ask during the reservation, Christina, for their comfort level. There's actually 3 or 4 different groups that have booked with couples night out. So we have parties of 8, a party of 12 that night. Some of our high worth casino gamers insist on coming, so of course we save a premier spot for them. And then some people just go, I just want to come with my wife, and we'll give them a booth by themselves, whatever they want. We just want a synergy because there is a speaking component with our advanced sommelier and with the winemaker that comes out, and they do talk during the whole event. So it's really informative and fun.
And intimate,
it's very intimate,
which is nice. Then you feel like it's an exclusive experience.
Correct. Extremely, yeah. And candlelit tables, the best wine, the food's sensational, and it's just we're really excited about it.
And so, do you have other kind of special event type things in the works besides the wine pairing events?
Our biggest thing that we're really excited about is our black and white New Year's. So imagine the 50s. We want everyone in tuxedos, dressed to the nines. We're going to have a 3-piece trio up front playing classics, and we're going to do a 5-course tasting dinner that night only. And we've already got a lot of demand, so we're excited.
Who else does that? You know, that just
the
sounds
Great
fantastic, right?
Yeah, exactly what I'm. I'm kind of an old soul. You'll get that about me. So I really wanted to go back to that era, and I think it's just get back to basics. The world's moving so fast with social media and everything that's going on. Let's just go back to the 50s and have fun and just kind of go that route.
Well, it almost seems like all the stars are aligning for those kinds of things. Obviously, everything that you're doing here is doing very well. But with those events in particular, I mean, you got the food component, you got the people that are being drawn in and just loving the experience so much. You must be like a kid in a candy shop just thinking what the potential is of all these events.
You hit it on the head. I mean, we talk about it all the time. We feel like we just started. We always talked about having a newborn. You don't know what eye color it's going to have. What color is the hair going to? It's kind of like that. Now we can see. We have a 1-year-old. And we don't even know the personality yet.
Yeah.
So it's really an exciting time. The team we have is the best team. I can tell you. They all care so much about what they do, and I think that's what makes us special. We think sky's the limit. We're just getting started.
And so you touched on it a minute earlier, the changes in betting on sports and whatnot. Talk to me a little bit about that, because I'm not super familiar with it, but as a combat sports fan, it's very ingrained in that kind of culture. So I'm curious.
So the sports was approved by the state in the past year, and they gave out what's called skins. So skins are like licenses to operate sports gambling. 10 were given to tribes. There's more than 10 tribes, so we were fortunate and blessed to get a skin, a license, and we are partnering with Betfred, which is out of Europe in the UK. So they will be our partner in gaming for sports betting. So what we're going to do is build a full brick and mortar sports book. We'll also have an online platform, and we'll also have kiosk gaming in the next few weeks. As soon as everything's approved, we'll be ready to go. So we have everything in process. We've been working on that for about a year and a half. So it's just it's a long process. We're kind of at the finish line to get that executed, and then once we do, you can come and place a bet.
And so that's a pretty fundamental shift, right? Was there just no sports betting allowed at all before?
Zero.
That must be making you guys pretty happy that there's such a seismic change.
It's such a big decision, and it's such a huge opportunity for our tribe and for the state of Arizona. It brings other, not only employment opportunities for people, but also revenue generation for the state and for these different business enterprises. And it gets, especially in a sports bar, it gets really exciting when there's money on the line. So if you've ever been to a big, Vegas sports book on Super Bowl, it's crazy. So we're excited to have that theme here and get that executed. And it'll probably take us about a couple months to get the thing fully renovated. But in the meantime, we'll have sports betting.
Will you be showing like combat sports? I figure you probably will, right?
Oh yeah.
I might need to spend a weekend doing that sometime.
Yeah.
I'm not a big bettor because I'd probably end up losing a lot of money, and then it's almost like the kind of thing where you put money on it and it's like a little bit more difficult to enjoy it because you're so concerned about losing the money. But
sure.
allocate a little bit of a budget for that and have a good time.
Yeah, I think it's all about entertainment. You got to know what it will hurt you and know what won't hurt you. But we have UFC coming up. We have tickets online for the new UFC in a couple weeks. That'll be coming up. We try to show all kinds of variety because we're not just sports, we're entertainment. So there's prize fighting, there's MMA, all of those things you discussed. We're going to show it all, and eventually possibly off track betting is another thing we can consider. So sky's the limit.
So is there anything else we missed that you guys want to discuss here? I mean, I'm sure there's something, but how could you even remember? We've talked about so much.
No, we're just so grateful. I mean, just to be here today with you guys, and you guys taking your time out of to talk about Weekapaw and Ember. We're very grateful.
Yeah, well, when Christina threw the idea out there, I wasn't very hard to convince.
No,
because,
not at all.
It's such a beautiful spot, and it has such an elegance to this place. It just feels nice and warm to be in, and you know that incredible things are happening in the kitchen back there, and you can feel people having a good time here. So it's nice to see this place flourish and grow more, and I'm excited to see what you guys put together in the future.
Well, you let us know. We'll be happy to have you out.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Chef. Thank you, Zach, for sitting down with us.
Thank you.
Christina, for putting it all together.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers, guys.
All right.